Okay, so welcome back to the Division 2. I'm trying to make this video as quick and concise as I can. This is basically going to be how I think Division 2 should be fixed. Now, we'll break it down into the categories. So first, gameplay. Gameplay-wise, I think the game is still good. You know, taking cover to cover, taking cover itself, shooting, aiming. I think all that shit's good. The only thing I think needs to be fixed is the skills. I don't mean damage wise or anything, but I mean like how quick they are to activate, like how quick your drone comes out, how quick he takes out the chem launcher thing. I think all that just needs to be faster. It needs to be faster, it needs to be more responsive, it just needs to feel better. Apart from that, I think skills are fine. And everything else in the game, shooting, taking cover, all that, I think is fine. Oh, and, you know, they need to fix the alarm, which, you know, they said they're fixing, but also the lag in menus and just in the game in general sometimes, even if when you have a good connection, the bullet registration issues, the audio glitching, like that shit needs to be fixed, along with like the UI things, like, you know, taking the news tab out of here and just putting it in the base operation somewhere. Same thing with the club. These are also at the main menu when you first start the game, so you know these aren't necessary to be here. So gameplay wise, I think that's fine. I think apart from that, it's okay. Yeah, the running animation is a little wonky and stuff, but whatever, I'll deal with it. And yeah, let us hide the backpack and let us hide the chest armor. So loot is the big thing. So let's break down how loot works. Loot works in three ways. I mean, your gear, your build is made up of three things majorly: your brands, your attributes, and your talents. Right? And so, okay, how do you go about making a build? You start with brands. How do you get a specific brand? Well, you kind of don't. It's just random drops. You can go to the crafting station, and now they made it so you can, you know, craft things onto it. Use crafted items in recalibration. Uh, and so I guess this is the way to get your brand, at least a random drop for your brand. Uh, but this doesn't let you choose the type as well. They're just replicas, which I don't know why the replicas. Because some items have different types, like different mod slots. And from what I understand, these only let you craft one type. So that's kind of an issue in and of itself. But this could be your way of getting brands. Another way could be tying the brands to, you know, anything else in the overworld, the light zone. When I say tying it to the overworld, I don't mean uh, making it so like only outcasts drop a brand. I mean weighing things differently. So like, yeah, outcasts have a higher chance of getting Providence defense, and Black Tusk have a higher chance of getting Wyvernware, and you know, etc. You can still get a random drop, but at least you kind of know where to kind of grind to have better chances. And same thing, you could tie the checkpoints, you could tie the factions, missions, the invasion, areas on the map, you know, whatever. Just weigh things. Have higher chances of drops in certain areas and places. So that's brands. Talents, I really think talents should just go back to the original way in Division 1, where you would go to recalibrate, you'd click the talent, and then you'd get a list of all the talents that could roll onto your gear piece. I think that's the way it should be. I don't know why that was changed. Like, I think the recalibration UI should be changed to accommodate all this, because we don't have a list anywhere in game telling you, hey, this is where all the items drop, this is where the talents drop on what. We have no list. We have to go look that up online on the internet or whatever. And I guess crafting can tell you what brands drop where, but even then it's not exact. But that could be your answer to that. Talent wise, like, I don't know if patience only drops on knee pads or holster or whatever. I can't even remember what it drops on. Uh, so yeah, we just don't know. Well, unless you go online and search it up and people data mine the game and whatever. So that's the only way you know. But I think talent should just go to Division 1 and just you recalibrate your talent and you get the list and choose whatever you want. Oh, excuse me. And that would also solve the problem. Well, not solve the problem, but help the issue with stash space. Because I just store shit in my stash to keep talents that I may want at some point in my life. Uh, like all these random talents that I don't use right now, but I might use if I make a certain build or whatever. And I also save things for the attributes. And when you have specific weapon type attributes and health and armor and skill power and skill haste and crit damage and crit chance and hazard protection, like ends up being a lot. So what I would say is let us recalibrate two things. And I know this might be a balance issue, but this will play into other stuff I'm gonna say. Let us change. Like I have a red and a battery here. Let me change the battery for another red if I want, or the 3% LMG damage for skill haste if I want. I know that'll unbalance things and screw shit up a bit, but hear me out. Just listen. So let me do that, and then one talent, or let me recalibrate two talents or two attributes, whatever. But two things, and any type. And I know a major issue with all this is, oh, then we remove the grind, we remove RNG chances and all that. So here's the thing. I understand that, and I'll have an answer to that too. I hope this is all just this shit I've been thinking about. But you can also let us if I want to change the skill power and skill haste to all reds, you can let me get another mask that has all reds on it. I don't have one right now, but has two reds on it, and let me copy the whole attribute list. As long as maybe it's the same number of attributes. So if it's you have 3 on this one, you need 3 or less on the other one. Or if you have 4 on one, you need 4 or less on another one to copy over. So you copy over the whole list, the whole attribute list, and it brings them down to their lowest, I don't know, roll, I guess. Because that's the sacrifice of you copying over a whole attribute list. Then after you copy it over, you get the lowest rolls, and then you build back up the rolls with the materials you collect in the world with an optimization station. Uh, and that's how you make your build. So you have your attributes covered, and then if you copy over a list, you can still recalibrate two attributes if you want. And I know that pretty much eliminates the whole RNG chance of things and whatever. But maybe you could have a safety net where a high attribute roll is the last 5% or whatever. So 30% armor, you can get a really high roll that gives you 35% armor, and that can only drop as a roll. You can't optimize it up to 35%. Well, you could do that too. And so you have your build. Weapons, I think weapons just stay the same. You get random drops for weapons, random talents. So you have your build, and you get it up to 500 gear score. I would say another thing is, what do you grind for after your build is done? The specializations maybe, but at some point those are done as well. So I would say they wanted to raise the gear score to 515. Also in recalibration, let us up the gear score of our god world pieces that we put together, by only getting a 501 or 502 gear score piece and infusing it into our gear that we're wearing. And that's the only way we can raise our gear score. And the random drops in the world, and the harder the difficulty you're doing an activity, the higher the chance of you getting a higher gear score drop than what you're wearing. And what's the whole point of getting 515 gear score? Well, the whole point is maybe when you get everything at 515, like everything is literally 515 gear score, Uh, you go back to the specialization dude, and he's like, "Oh, you're high level, whatever." Uh, See, this is why we need bigger public spaces. So, like, you just see random shit like this. But you come back to the specialization dude, and he's like, "Hey, okay, you're 515. You can get a, let's say, 1% for every one gear score. So, let's say you get a 15% armor increase, or a 7% damage increase, or a 7% skill haste reduction, or maybe more skill haste than that because skill haste has changed now, and that's only active when you have 515 gear score, and it's just a separate specialization window. Like that, I'd be fine with that, and you can still get higher gear score drops anywhere, but it's just weighted for you to get a higher chance of it when you do harder difficulties like heroic missions or whatever, or in the occupied dark zone, or whatever. So you still want the random drops and the grind and whatever for the gear score to get up there to that min max point, and you can still make your build, and you still have the chance to get the lucky random drop if you want. So that's my take on fixing loot, or at least how to make your build and how to get your build, and whatever. Uh, Gameplay and loot wise, I think just they need to add more variety on how you do support, and how you do damage. You could have I mean, not weapon type. You could have ammo types, but the ammo types just shouldn't hinder your ability, the other person's ability to play the game. Like, it shouldn't hinder their ability to shoot you or anything, or maybe hinder their ability to aim and stuff a bit. But they can still aim and shoot. They can still dodge roll and whatever. It just debuffs them in certain ways or whatever. I think that would be fine, and then you have buffs to counteract that. But just more variety in terms of how we play. Taking cover being a bigger part. Maybe laying traps, having a specialization that uses bouncing betties and claymores and C4 and shit. You could have mods for the exotics, or the specialization weapons, where, like, if you slot in a mod to your crossbow, you can shoot trap bolts like in Bioshock, where you shoot two bolts and it makes an electric wire. Shit like that. Maybe you have a gadget, or not the turret. Maybe you have a mod for the chem launcher. I mean, not the chem launcher, the hive, where when you throw the hive, it maybe it gets some magnetic field or something, where bullets kind of bend a bit, or change their trajectory a little bit to maybe save yourself or something. I'm not saying no black hole gravity or anything like that, but you could get a little crazy as long as it's kind of grounded. Maybe some wrist rocket mini launcher thing. Uh, Dual wielding, multi targeting systems, like, there's just things you could do. Blocking whole areas of a certain space, so the enemy can't push forward or come towards you or anything, or having an AOE thing that buffs all your whole team, or there's things you could do and be a little bit more creative than just shooting your weapon or activating your skills. Uh, and same thing with the mods. Like, skill mods can be just craftable mods that you just stay there and scale with your skill power. That'll help with the stash space as well. Grenades can be more prevalent. Yeah, like maybe give us a specialization where instead of two main weapons, we get two sidearms and one main weapon, and our main thing is dual wielding the sidearms, uh, or the traps, or there's all these things. But apart from that, that's my take on loot mostly, and gear, and playability, and shit like that. These are the things will be quicker. Dark zone. The dark zones are too small, and they're just the player count's too low, and there's not much to do. It's just the landmarks and the airdrop. They need to be bigger. They need to have more events going on, more things to do. Also, I think a ranking system with let's say you're a rogue agent, uh, and you survive and get a good amount of kills. You know, in one life, you get a bounty on you. You can go and turn in that bounty and get a bunch of rewards. But then maybe the risk of being rogue is that you can't use the safe houses or the base operations. You have to run everywhere and stuff. And for shade agents, say you gain a rep for killing rogue agents and helping other players out by reviving them and healing them and stuff. So you gain a rep for being a good agent. And in time, as you keep helping people in one life and stuff, you I don't know, get a work order or some shit for that you turn into the Dark Zone vendor saying, "Hey, look at all the shit I did in the Dark Zone, pay me," and they give you a bunch of rewards. And as for the trolling thing, like the occupied Dark Zone, it's always going to be that as long as it works the way it does. So I don't know, but also I would say give people a rep so you can track people in the leaderboards. Give people a rep so like if someone has like 800 total fucking shade agent kills, SHD agents killed, uh, they should have a bad rep, which means they should probably be paired with other people who have a bad rep in the Dark Zone. So that way they just feed off each other, killing each other all the time and getting rewards and whatever. And, good players who just want to help each other out and whatever can also benefit by being with each other. But, a good ranking system, and maybe the ranking system doesn't have to reset every time you die. Maybe it resets, on reset or something. But I think that would be better and better incentivization to go rogue or to stay good and whatever. I also think the bots. I mean, not the bots. The helicopter takes too long to get there. Should be faster. Dark zone should be bigger. More events in them. More shit to do. Um, PvP is never going to be balanced to me in this game because it's very RPG focused. So I don't think it can be balanced. So what I think is Massive or Red Storm, I guess, should just make gear sets centered around PvP that they will deal with balancing. Sorry. And so they will do a balancing with. So you have casual PvP right now, and it's pretty boring. It's 4v4. It's basic. Do a Gambit type mode where it's PvEVP, uh, where you have NPCs in a match as well. Maybe you can invade each other, maybe not. Maybe you just send a boss to the other side or a heavy to the other side or whatever, and shit like that. But have a PvEVP sort of thing like Gambit in Destiny, where you compete against each other, and so you still have AI NPCs that PvE players can still help out and help the match. And when you do, and that's casual PvP. And when you finish a match in casual PvP, you get XP. Uh, you get a regular conflict cache, and you get a gear piece, a PvP specific gear piece. And you build out your sets, and they have maybe 2 or 3 gear sets centered around weapon types. So like 2 sets for shotgun, 2 sets for LMG, two sets for assault rifle, whatever. And you use those. You can only use those in competitive PvP. So that way, Massive only has to, I mean, Red Storm only has to balance the PvP, the competitive PvP around those gear sets. So it doesn't become this whole mess about how do we balance shit and PvE talents are being affected by PvP players and yada yada yada. They just center it around the gear sets. I don't see why that would be a problem. And you have casual PvP to just use whatever build you want. And I think that still works into the game as well. Other activities could be a resistance mode, but just make us defend the White House, like this square area. Just let us put in a matchmaking station right here for resistance for the White House, and it's 8 players, and we just defend the White House. Bam, done. Against all factions. Mixing the factions, everything done. Uh, we need more exotics because there just aren't that much. But yeah, PvP. That's all I think you could do really. Dark zones. Everyone's spoken about that enough, and I've given you my take. You could also make one dark zone a PvE only dark zone with hunters and shit, and up the player count, or make them level 34 or something. You could put in uh, AI that isn't as sophisticated, so you can put more on screen and make the AI NPCs we have now kind of like hunters, where they're more harder to kill and have more things about them, but not as many of them come out. And weapons, you already have a ton of weapons you can pull from all amounts of years, and even prototype weaponry and stuff. Yeah, that's my take. Loot, PvP, dark zones, gear, and activities. Yeah, and put matchmaking for the raid and 8 players. Just you might as well. Yeah, that's my take on how to fix division. I know not much to look at because it's just a game, but I mean not much to do. And cosmetics, they need to add in cosmetics like just like these brown pants. Give me these brown pants in black and white, silver, green, blue. Like come on, it's not that hard. Just add them as drops. More mask. Yeah. Anyways, that's Division 2. Or how I think it should be fixed.